Hey guys, welcome back to Lauren's Honest Reviews, where I review popular books and let you know if these books are actually worth your time. Today we're going to talk about some polarizing books. There's some very popular books we're going to talk about today, and I have some opinions. Some were fails for me, but other books in this rating video are going to be major favorites for me. I love these two books that I'll talk about are two of my favorite books. I knew instantly they would be 5-star reads for me. I cannot wait to talk about those. We'll start off with the good ones and then we'll save my fails for the end. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So the first book I wanted to talk about, I think I talked about this in my TBR video, and I was so excited to get to this book. I could not wait to read The Bright Years by Sarah Danoff. I saw this being advertised. I think I saw it on Instagram, YouTube too. Also, a lot of people were raving about this, and oh my gosh, the rave reviews are so dead on. This book was amazing. 5 stars. I instantly knew I was going to fall in love with this with like the first couple of chapters. I fell in love with these characters. So this is a story about kind of toxic family relationships, a family secret, and also addiction too. And I really like how this author portrays addiction in this book. The main character that's suffering with addiction, the dad, you start off hating him, and then towards the end of the book, you end up, well, at least I did anyway, towards the end of the book, I'm not loving this guy, but almost respecting him and respecting his choices. So it makes you look at addiction in a whole new way, which I really appreciated. So I really enjoyed this book. If you liked Hello Beautiful, I think you'll really enjoy this. The Bright Years by Sarah Danoff. So good, 5 stars. In this book, instant favorite, Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I'm loving this author. The way she writes is so engaging. I could not put this book down. So this book is about a bunch of strangers, I think there's 6 of them, that go to Moreau Island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and they find themselves in interesting predicaments, to say the least. Murders start to happen, some creepy things. It reminded me so much of White Lotus. If you were a fan of the show White Lotus, I think you will love this. The beautiful island setting is there, the creepy dynamics are there, the secrets and lies are there. It has all the mystery vibes, great for the fall, but you do have some summery elements because of the setting, obviously, but this is definitely a dark, dramatic story. So if you're looking for something like that for the fall, I think you'll really love this. I could not put this down. This was so good. I was definitely surprised in the end. It had me thinking the whole time, and it was fun trying to put all the pieces together. There's multiple timelines, and the way the author goes back and forth between the different points of views and timelines really engages the reader, and I love this. One of my favorite books. Couldn't put this down. I bought this because Mary Kabuka is one of my favorite suspense writers. She wrote Local Woman Missing, which, believe it or not, I still have yet to read, but I love The Other Misses and I love She's Not Sorry. So I couldn't wait to read this one. This was her debut novel. This is called The Good Girl. And this was a great story. If you like a story about a missing persons, but you don't like to read about kids that are missing, that's not always my favorite genre. This is about a 25-year-old Mia Dennett who goes missing, and the way the relationship develops with her captor is really, was I gonna say intriguing? It's just, it will really pull you in, and again, another book that I couldn't put down. There was some odd elements and odd points of views to this, I will say that. There was this random background relationship that kind of threw me off and I felt like didn't need to be there. But overall, I love this dark mystery, and yeah, just so good. A lot of people compare this to Gone Girl. I didn't really see much of the comparison, honestly. There was an interesting twist to it, but not similar. I feel like every mystery is compared to Gone Girl these days, and it drives me nuts. Any mystery with a twist, they say it's like Gone Girl. I wouldn't consider it to be close to that story at all as far as the plot goes, but I do feel like the twist threw me off, and yeah, it was a fun read. I gave this a 4-star. I felt like, why did I take a star off? I just think, again, there were certain points of views that didn't exactly pull me in, but anytime it switched to, especially Colin's point of view, I was really engaged in this story. It wasn't super suspenseful, but another one, if you like a dark mystery, I think you would really enjoy this. So, great book. All right, now we're getting down, oh my gosh, this video is gonna be a quick one because we're already getting into my not so great reads, and I hate spending too much time on books that I didn't exactly love. Watch, I'll talk about the books I disliked more than my favorites here. So this book, I will say, I couldn't wait to read. This is Carrie Soto is Back by one of my favorite authors, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Loved Atmosphere, loved Seven Husbands, loved Daisy Jones. Oh my gosh, those books are some of my favorites. And this book got high ratings, so I was excited to read this. Unfortunately, it was a fail for me. The whole story is about Carrie Soto and her comeback. She's a tennis player back in the 80s, And she kind of goes away for a while. She's in the background watching tennis. She has this relationship with her dad that is really endearing and really heartwarming. I did enjoy that part of the story. I'll put it out there. This isn't marketed as a romance, but I wanted less tennis and more romance. I got some criticism on my TikTok because when I reviewed this, you know, somebody was like, it wasn't marketed as a romance and you're saying that you wanted more romance. But I don't know. All of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books have that element of romance to them, so I think I just expected it out of her. But there's a lot of sports commentary in here, so if you're big on sports, if you're a competitive person, I think you'll really enjoy this. But my mind just drifted when she started talking about the games and the sets and love and all the things about tennis. Now, I did learn some things about tennis that I found were interesting, all the different competitions and everything. I didn't know half the things about Wimbledon and all the tours and the opens and all that. So it was an interesting read, but I just wanted less tennis, more romance. The romance aspect didn't come in until like the end of the book, and I just wanted more from it, so 3-star. All right, next up, let's talk about the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. I won't go too much in depth with this because I wanted to do a full book review on all 4 of these books. I didn't get to the newest release, book 4, which is Wild Card. That's on my TBR. I definitely want to read that. But I read Wild Eyes and Wild Side, book 2 and 3 of the series. Loved Wild Love. That is one of my most favorite romance books. Loved that book so much. So that is why, honestly, that I was so excited about the series. But I'm starting to get a little let down, I have to say. Wild Eyes was fun. So this is the story about West and Skylar. West is kind of like a cowboy-esque guy. He's a horse trainer. Skylar is this famous country singer. So that dynamic was really interesting to me, but I wanted so much more from this. I felt like they could have gone into, Elsie Silver could have gone into the fandom of Skylar and all the interesting aspects that come with being a celebrity. I thought she could have went so much further with this book. So this I gave a 3-star. And then Wild Eyes I read on my Kindle, and I was also disappointed with this one. So this is the story of Rice, or is it Reese? It's spelled R-H-Y-S. Maybe it's Reese. I don't know. Correct me in the comments. While I was reading it in my head, I was saying Rice, but that sounds not right. Rice and Tabitha's relationship is a little bit more dark. This is light and fun. Book 3 is a little bit more dark, a little flat for me at the beginning. It did pick up towards the end, and there was kind of this interesting element. You find out what Wild Side actually means towards the end of the book, so that made it fun, but I was a little disappointed. That one I also gave 3-star. Wild Love, 5-star read for me, but we'll have to see where Wild Card comes in at. I'm excited for it, I am, but yeah, that's gonna be a make or break to whether I recommend this series. I haven't read the Chestnut Hill series. Everybody talks about that. Everybody says that one is so good. This is my first Elsie series, so again, I was excited because Wild Love was so good. I love Ford and Rosie's relationship, but the next 2 books in the series felt kind of flat for me, so we'll see how Wild Card comes out. All right, and last week I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmer. I should have known, guys. I should have known that this was going to be a cheesy story. The story of Logan and Jeannie's relationship. Of course, they live in a small town. He's a farmer. She's a cafe owner. And yes, there were some cute elements to this, but unless you just want to read a book for the cozy fall vibes, this has all that. This has the coffee, it has the cinnamon sugar. He even describes her as tasting like cinnamon sugar, which, I mean, come on, let's talk about cheesy. First of all, whose saliva tastes like cinnamon sugar? Nobody's. I just thought this book was very cliche. Their relationship wasn't even that fun. The whole time they're questioning their relationship between each other, and even the townspeople are questioning their relationship. So it just felt like the whole book, you're like, all right, who's rooting for these two? There was no chemistry at all, no lustful moments. The spice kind of came out of nowhere, and it's not intense spice, but it felt random to me because these are kind of, this was another thing too. I think he's described as, of course, the grumpy guy in the neighborhood, and he didn't come off that way to me at all. I mean, he delivers pumpkins to cafes and bakeries. Like, this guy did not come off as grumpy to me. It's supposed to be that whole grumpy sunshine trope. I like Jeannie's character, but Logan, he was kind of like dull for me. He did have some like funny quotes, but at the same time, I just didn't love their chemistry. The spice was out of nowhere and kind of like awkward. So I would not recommend this. I give this a 2-star. All right, this next book is one of the most popular books. The copyright, I think it was published in 2021, and it has 1.5 million reviews on Goodreads. This is a popular book, you guys. People loved this book. but I will say it is a polarizing read. Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. Wow, I didn't get hate on TikTok, but the post that I put up about this, I kind of like made a joke about me falling asleep while reading this, and I got a lot of comments like, you must not know science, you must, basically alluding to the fact that I'm dumb, that I didn't get the science in this book. And you're right, I did not understand the quantum physics in this book. Unless you enjoy reading about microns and nanograms and centrifuges, then I don't think you'll like this. I really don't. Now, I will say my rating did change as I progressed through this book. At the beginning of this read, I think I was like a quarter of the way through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot even get through this. This is going to be a 1 star for me. But I will say the print version, I'll give it 2 stars too, because I did actually enjoy the ending. I thought the ending was really cute, actually. I felt like the ending did fit. It was just how this book was supposed to end. I did really enjoy the ending. So everybody was right. The way this ended, oh my gosh, really heartwarming. Loved it. But the journey that took me to get there, oh my gosh, I was literally falling asleep. I could not get through this. I almost DNF'd it, but I pushed through. I probably DNF books in the past, but especially now with me reviewing books, I need to finish these books. And I think it's just, what is it? The committer in me. I'm just a not quitter. I've been with the same guy for 25 years. I'm definitely not afraid of commitment, and I like to finish things to the end. Wow, that sounds dark when you compare that to marriage, but okay. Anyway, let's get back to the book. Essentially, the premise is a math teacher is flown into space to save humanity, is the overall synopsis of this book. And I do really actually enjoy the premise. A lot of people criticize that the plot was very far-fetched. And yes, obviously it's far-fetched. It's a book. But I actually found the fact that he was a math teacher like just sweet and endearing. So I like that aspect of the book, but the science was way too heavy in this book. And I just have to read an excerpt from this book just to like get my point across. I don't know. Let's just pick a random paragraph. All right. The first thing that bothered me, CO2 spectral emissions are 4.26 and 18.31 microns, but astrophage are only 10 microns across. So it couldn't really interact with light that had a larger wavelength. How could it even see the 18.31 micron band? You see what I'm getting at here? I repeated my earlier spectral experiment with just the 18.31 micron filter and got a result I did not expect. Strange things happened. So he adds this interesting element to these scientific experiments, but literally the whole book is him doing these experiments in space. So if you are into dissecting scientific formulas, if you like solving physical equations, I think you'll like this. If you enjoy chemistry, this book is for those people. If you are really into reading about science, I think you would love this book, and it would be a 5-star for you. But I rate my books on my subjective experience, and my experience reading this, I was so bored. So I'm gonna give the print version of this a 2-star. I will, however, give the audio a 3-star. I did switch halfway through because everybody told me that I need to listen to this via audio. And I will say it did make the experience much more almost cinematic. Like it felt like you were reading, like watching a film. And this is going to be a film, by the way. Ryan Gosling is Ryland, the main character. So I am intrigued to see the movie. But wow, reading about these experiments was like watching paint dry to me. I just did not enjoy the journey that got me to this ending was great. It really was. And Rocky's character, everybody said I would love Rocky, and that's a surprise character in here as well without giving anything away. Rocky makes this book, and the humor in this book, the narrator in the audio version, his humor is amazing, his acting is amazing, and it really did add something to the humor of this book. But that's another part of my criticism of this book. If you like that kind of writing where there's humor if there's humor in a suspenseful situation, maybe you would like this, but I love suspense reads and thrillers and mystery reads. So the fact that there was suspenseful moments that was being interjected by like jokes felt kind of off to me. I felt like there's a disconnect because anytime the scene was suspenseful, there was a joke made. Some of the humor kind of threw me off, but it was funny and it did have like some quirky moments, but the science was way too heavy for me. Again, if you're into reading about microns and quantum physics, and CO2 emissions and nitrogen and all the things. I think you'll really love this. All those, and I consider myself a science nerd. I do. I mean, I went to nursing school, but this took me back to sitting in Chem 2 and being forced to be here and me thinking to myself, is Chem 2 really going to apply to what I'm going to be practicing in my nursing practice? Probably not. And also, what else did it reminded me of Severance also. The show Severance. Everybody told me that I needed to watch Severance, that I would love the show. And in my head, I knew, I'm like, you know what? I'm not big into that like science fiction genre. I don't think I'll love it. And it's true. Like me and my husband watched a few episodes of Severance, and at the beginning it kind of hooked me, but then it just got way out there. And that's kind of how this book felt for me. It was just like too much, too heavy, and not too much on, I wanted more of his home life too. There was some flashbacks to when he was a math teacher, and those scenes I was really into, but then they just didn't spend enough time in those flashback moments, and I wanted more of that. So yeah, again, if you love reading about scientific experiments and formulas, you'll love this. The ending was great, but the plot was way too science heavy for me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stick with my romance and my lit fic and mystery reads. Let me know if there's a science fiction book that you absolutely love that has bits of science and romance to it. Atmosphere is like the perfect example for that to me. Like I loved reading about all those science facts in that book, but it wasn't as science heavy as this book by any means. Oh, you talk about science heavy, this book is that. So yeah, it was an interesting journey for me. Thrilling? No, not my experience. I think some people would find this thrilling if you do, again, love reading about science, but you have to like reading about in-depth science facts because, wow, is this in-depth? So physics fans, chemistry fans, all the science fans, especially astronomer, geologists, what other jobs? Again, rocket scientists, all those rocket scientists out there. I think you'll love this. No, I think a lot of science fiction people would really enjoy this book, but it just wasn't for me. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know your experiences with these books. And as always, I like to know what you're reading too. Let me know if there's anything good out there that you're reading. I'd love to hear from you guys. I love interacting with you guys in the comments. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I post mainly more on TikTok. I feel like that's been fun over there. So find me over on TikTok. All my links are down below. And thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.